Give a man a fish and he'll eat for a day. Teach him how to fish and he'll eat for the rest of his life. Hi, my name is Euda Fils, and today I'm here to talk to you about why our current charity system just doesn't work. Let's start with a look back. The first evidence that we have of charitable giving was in 2500 BCE, when Hebrews were forced to pay a mandatory tax that went directly to benefit the poor. This means that ever since at least 2500 BCE, we have had the need for charities. That was 4,516 years ago. And yet now, in our current age of rockets to the moon and the World Wide Web at our fingertips, we still rely on charities to clothe the poor, feed the hungry, and shelter the homeless. How have we not yet solved these problems? Not even solved, but how come in about 4,500 years, we don't even have a path to a foreseeable solution? In order to answer these tough questions, we'll first have to start by delving into the roots of these problems, and then we'll talk about the solution. So let's go back, all the way back, to where it all started, the cradle of civilization in Mesopotamia. In about 10,000 BC, a group of humans decided to put down roots, both figuratively and literally, and start farming. Farming is the enabler of civilization as we know it today. Small 30 to 40 hunter-gatherer groups grew into sedentary villages, towns, and even cities. Farming created this new phenomenon called excess wealth. So now you didn't just make enough to feed yourself, you had some excess, a surplus that you could sell, a surplus that led right smack directly into inequality. In contrast, hunter-gatherer groups, and scientists know this from studying modern hunter-gatherer groups, are fiercely egalitarian. This means that those who don't hunt gather, and those who don't gather hunt. And even those who neither gather nor hunt still get a share of the food at the end of the day. This means that there was a built-in safety net that those who would end up impoverished or hungry in our modern society would be well taken care of in theirs. With the advent of civilization and farming and this excess wealth, egalitarianism gave way to inequality. And this inequality grew hand in hand with our modern civilization to get us to where we are today. Now, at this point in the presentation, I could bombard you with a series of statistics about the amount of illiteracy, starvation, hunger, and inequality that there is in the world. But we all know these statistics. We all see the homeless man panhandling at the corner, and we don't give him money and assuage our conscience by telling ourselves that he's going to use that money for drugs and alcohol anyways. But day after day, year after year, generation after generation, that homeless man is still there on the corner asking for money. And charities arose with the goal of ending these problems, not just abating, but really ending hunger, ending homelessness. And from the humble tithe in 2500 BCE to where we are today, where the American Red Cross total expenses for 2015 was a whopping $3,047,227,207. And this despite our welfare state. So now that we've talked about the roots, let's delve into the problem. The main reason that our charity system does not work is because of some key differences between the for-profit and nonprofit worlds. One of these is future investments. So if we take Amazon, a company that we all know and love, this company grossed total sales for 2015 was a total of $107 billion. Yet Amazon only became profitable in 2016. This was a deliberate business strategy used by Amazon to keep prices low, increase their market share, and deter new entry into the market. Charities simply cannot do this. Charities are not allowed to take risks. The current prevailing thought is that every single dollar that is donated should go directly to the cause and nothing else. So this means that money for things such as rent on a building, chairs, post-it notes, sticky notes, computers, and employee salaries is kept to a bare minimum. This is a self-handicap and very and this is self-handicap by the industry because it does not attract the best and the brightest, the people who are actually going to solve these problems, to come work for charities. If you're working for a nonprofit, you can expect a severe pay cut. This also leads to a toxic stagnancy. The best way to explain this is with the story of the babies in the river. So imagine there's a village and they're having a nice picnic, a village picnic by a riverside. And all of a sudden, someone notices that there's a baby drowning in the river. So of course he jumps in, he saves that child, and he becomes a hero. And then a few minutes later, someone else notices that there's another baby in the river. And this keeps going for 1 hour, a steady rate of babies down this river drowning, to the point where the villagers set up elaborate systems systems, work shifts, to try to get as many babies out of this river as possible and save them from drowning. When suddenly someone notices that there's a man who's walking away from the scene and he's walking upstream. And they call him out and say, yo, we need a lot of help saving all these babies out of this river. Why are you going upstream? And he goes, I'm going to go upstream to try and find the person who's throwing these babies in the river and stop him. So Charities, this story really teaches us that we need to get to the root of the problem. Charities are stuck by the riverside trying to save people that have already fallen in, when really they need to go upstream and find the root of the problem and actually stop it. And this toxic stagnancy can lead to immense problems. In the business world, it's sink or swim. Treading water is not an option. The second major difference between the for and nonprofit world is market indicators. So in the for-profit world, businesses have a time-tested and reliable feedback loop through profits by which they can tell what's working and what's not. Charities simply do not have this because the amount of donations that a charity receives really has nothing to do with the amount of good work that they're actually doing. Really, the reasons that we donate are as follows. First is the warm glow effect. This is that feeling you get after you donate or you volunteer somewhere, that feeling that you've enacted some change. You've made a difference in the world, that you're a hero. And the second reason that we give is called humble bragging. And I'll be the first to admit that I am way guilty of this. Humble bragging is when after you donate or again volunteer for an organization, you post on your Facebook or social media saying, oh, I just spent my whole day volunteering for Habitat for Humanity. Hashtag lead, hashtag serve, hashtag I do this all the time, no big deal. So really, the only reason that we're doing this, the only reason when you're humble bragging that you are serving your time is to make yourself seem like a good person in your social circle. And the last reason that we donate is because of altruism. So sometimes we really do care about giving that homeless man a meal just for one day or making sure that child gets an education. And this is a uniquely human thing that we do where we empathize with our fellow human beings. But the key thing that strings all of these reasons together is the fact that we don't donate based on anything that is rational. We donate based on emotion. So the amount of donations that a charity receives has nothing to do with how much good they're doing, but really it has a lot to do with the amount of marketing they're doing and how the donor feels at the time that he's being asked to donate. So the problem with this is that practices done by charities that are toxic and that end up in bad situations keep happening and no one knows that they're not good in the long term. And so charities keep doing bad things and they don't have this feedback loop as does the for-profit world to tell them that they're doing something wrong. And this can lead to a dependency. So this means that the people receiving the aid become dependent on it and don't actually have any incentive to grow out of that and to become independent of this aid. So now that we've talked tons about the problem, let's talk about the solution. So the first thing to do in order to solve this problem is to really have a paradigm shift. We need to incentivize growth and incentivize really the same things that are being incentivized in the for-profit world. And this can only come with a shift in the way that we think about charities. We need to get rid of the stigma of overhead and start paying people a comparable wage to the for-profit world. This is the only thing that's going to attract the best, the brightest, the smartest of our population to come and work for these charities and legitimately solve these problems. The second thing we need to do is we need to fix the problem, not the symptom. So if we're standing by the river trying to save these children that have already fallen in, we're stuck there and we can't get to the root. And this means that there's going to be a constant rate of children in that river and we're going to be stuck at that river forever and ever. But what we really need to do is go upstream and fix the problem, not the resulting symptom. And the last thing that we need to do in order to fix this is to shirk complacency. This means that these problems are not insurmountable. These problems are not here for forever. They're not symptoms of civilization that are just going to be here and we just have to be okay with a homeless population. We just have to be okay with a certain population of the world starving. These things can be ended. Truly ended so that no one is starving, no one is homeless. If I can find out the amount of popcorn that's ever been popped in the entire history in the world in 1.9 seconds by doing a Google search, then we can end these problems. Thank you.